Welcome in, everybody. Little bit of a different, we're doing something different here on the Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel. I am your host, Aaron Torres. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's having a great day. By the way, the hat does not look great, so I'm going to put it up on my head. But here's the bottom line. Listen, it's Arkansas Notre Dame right now, 49-13. And listen, once the games go final, everybody wants to move on to the next game. We have plenty to talk about in the evening slate, the afternoon slate. So I figured I'd just come on here for about 10, 12, 15 minutes and just talk about the state of Arkansas football, what is going on, and why this just – I mean, listen, it has to be the end for Sam Pittman. I mean, it just does. I don't even know what else there is to say. So everybody come on in. We're going to go ahead and talk about this from every angle. Let's just go ahead and start at the top. So we are recording here. I decided, why do I need to wait until the end of the game, right? It's 49-13. It was 42-0 at half, 42-13, excuse me, at halftime. By the way, this hat looks terrible. I'm just taking it off. Great hat, by the way, circa. But here's the deal. It got so bad and it got so toxic. First of all, I'd probably say not even half, but quite a bit of the crowd actually left Razorback Stadium at halftime, but it was 42-13. And so why do we need to wait until the end of the game to do an instant reaction? Let's just come on in and talk about it now. The bottom line is it's over. I mean, anyone who tried to make any justification that Sam Pittman should be the head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks going into the bye week next week, it's just over. There's nothing else there is to say. So everybody come on in. Let's talk about a little bit of a pseudo vent session here with, as I see on my TV, 12:53 left in this game. But let's go ahead and dive in. We'll get into all the specifics in a minute. By the way, one thing that you do need to do, I would recommend following our Torres on the Hogs account, Torres on the Hogs. I have a feeling we could have a move as early as tomorrow, and I believe there will be a coaching search. And so no better time to follow Torres on the Hogs, because we are going to have plenty of content. Charlie, who's actually at the game, he may have left by now, is the intern who helps me run it. I have a feeling that Charlie is going to be very busy over these coming days and weeks. So make sure you're following Torres on the Hogs on Twitter for all of your late-breaking Arkansas news. But let's go ahead and dive in, because, to me, with this game, what I think kind of stood out coming into this game was this. And by the way, I did do my picks coming into the game. I did have Arkansas plus the points, because here was the thought process behind that. I just said, listen, there is just no way that things can possibly get worse than they were late last week against Memphis, right? You blow the lead, you're in position. And I really thought, okay, you know what? The bottom line is that at some point, I think, listen, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to say it. But as a man, as a human being, as a person, at some point, you're tested, and your mettle, your resolve, your whatever is tested. And I just felt like this had to be the moment where Arkansas's defense just said, you know what, enough is enough. We don't have to be, we have to step up. We have to play better. All week long, there was all sorts of speculation that if you lose this game in the manner that we are seeing you lose, that Sam Pittman would lose his job. And so I came into this week like, you know what, it was bad against Memphis. It was bad against Ole Miss. But at the end of the day, look, guess what? No matter how bad it is, the good news is the defense is going to step up and have some pride. Instead, the exact opposite happens again. It was 42-13 at halftime. And listen, I'll give credit. Dave Pasch and Dusty Dvorak, right? Listen, I know Dave a little bit. He's actually been on this show back in the day. I don't know Dusty at all. But listen, when you call a game, you spend time with the coaching staff. You spend time with the players. And I think out of respect, you always try to give them the benefit of the doubt. And so I just bring it up because the fact that during the game, they're literally like, we didn't expect to see him fold like this. I think it was that fourth down that Arkansas didn't convert. Dave Pasch basically said the game is over, although some people already think that it is. And so I just bring it up because they have been critical. They were around that team. They knew, just like we did, if Sam Pittman were to lose this game, then it's hard to justify bringing him back. And I know how the buyout works, under 500 since 2021. Listen, this is Arkansas, okay? And I'm tired of, and I know a lot of Arkansas fans watching are tired of people, specifically Hunter Yurachek. I'm sorry, I hate to call out name by name, but acting like this is some sort of poverty program. I know it's what, 6 million versus 9 million to fire Sam Pittman going into the bye now versus if he falls below 500, I think you need him to go what, 0-3 in his, I guess 0-2 to get to 500, whatever. You need him to fall below 500. To me, you have to make the move, and you have to start acting like a real program and not a poverty program, okay? As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what. I'm wearing my Tyson freaking chicken shirt today because, listen, Tyson has proven, John Tyson has proven, Arkansas basketball has proven, Arkansas baseball has proven. You don't need to be a poverty program. You don't need to be this bad. You don't need to be embarrassing. And so the bottom line is, it's unacceptable, okay? And I go back to what I said last week after the Memphis game for people who missed it last week when Arkansas played Memphis. What I said was this, is that, there was a lot of discourse in the media, I think both national and local, of what is Arkansas football supposed to be. This was during the summer, right? And during the summer, there's this big conversation of, there's only so many teams in the SEC. Not everyone can win 10, 11, 12 games. And what I said at the time, I said, look, I don't want to speak for Arkansas fans. I don't think most Arkansas fans expect to win 11 or 12 games every year. The big conversation is pretty straightforward. Can you not embarrass us, one? And two, I saw my buddy John Neighbor say this the other day, and I'll give him credit for it. He said, can we maybe just have a little bit of hope by, can we get into October with just a little bit of hope? Instead, it's an embarrassment. And so to me, this is never about, Arkansas fans are unrealistic. They demand 12 wins a year. No. Nobody is saying that Arkansas should be winning 12, 13 games a year and be in the college football playoff. But the baseline expectations seem pretty reasonable. Can you not embarrass the university in the state? Can you maybe give a little hope into October? And then here is the big thing. Every once in a while, in the same way that Missouri has had a couple 10-win seasons pop up, Ole Miss has had some 10-win seasons pop up. Crap, rest in peace. But Mike Leach, 3 years ago, Mississippi State won 9 games. It's like it is possible. It can be done. And to be clear, I know Pitman won 9 games in 2021, but it doesn't change the fact that no one expects this program to be Georgia, but you don't have to be an embarrassment either. And by the way, look across the SEC. Vanderbilt about to be 5-0. Ole Miss, they're 4-0 playing to be 5-0 this week. You don't have to be this bad. And so the bottom line is, I don't even know if there was anyone actually defending Sam Pittman coming out of this week. But what I will say is, if you had any thought that maybe he deserves, listen, Mike Gundy in Oklahoma proved this week, if Mike Gundy can be fired midseason because the job isn't being done, then I'm sorry, Sam Pittman. And by the way, again, I'm not an Arkansas fan, but I know what Sam Pittman did in 2021. I know how bad things were in 2021. But at the same time, if Mike Gundy can be fired in midseason, the greatest coach in the history of the program, I'm sorry, there's no reason we have to keep Sam Pittman here. And so to me, it has to be over. It needs to be over. And I'll give a little bit of credit to Arkansas fans because, at the end of the day, when I look at this Arkansas situation, sellout crowd, loud, whatever, and they were all out by halftime. And I saw somebody tweet this. I would give them credit. I don't know who it was. But basically, the argument was like, stop supporting this team. And I hate to say it for the athletes, for the players, for the, grad assistants that are making $25K a year, but the way that change is made is by saying enough is enough, by saying we don't have to tolerate this and we won't tolerate it. And so good for Arkansas fans for walking out of the stadium and saying, screw this, we're out, we're not supporting this anymore. And so I want to go ahead and get into some of the conversation about who is next. I'm going to check the chat in a minute because I'm not even an Arkansas fan and I'm fired up. Listen, I got the Tyson shirt on. Tyson has proven, Mr. Tyson, John Tyson, the Chicken Man has proven we don't have to accept mediocrity. We don't have to accept whatever. What Arkansas fans need to accept, I don't know. I'm rambling. We're going to get to some comments and questions in a minute, but let's go ahead and discuss, as by the way, it looks like Notre Dame is again in the red zone driving. By the way, should mention a couple quick things. First of all, you see the Circa Survivor hat. We are, of course, presented by Circa Sportsbook, Circa Casino. Bottom line is, look, at the end of the day, best place in Vegas to watch a game, best place anywhere to watch a game is that Circa Sportsbook in Vegas. But here's the cool part. If you live on the East Coast and you need a place to watch a game, they have just opened a brand new sports book, Mint Kentucky Downs, Franklin, Kentucky. Okay, this thing is just minutes from the Tennessee border. It's about 30, 45 minutes from Nashville, easy to get to. And on a college football Saturday like today, you don't need a million different apps and promos and this. No. You don't need Peacock. You don't need this. You don't need that. All you got to do is go to Circa Casino, Circa Sportsbook, Mint Kentucky Downs in Franklin, Kentucky. We appreciate their supports. All of our point spreads, all of our preview content provided by Circa Casino and Circa Sportsbook. We do appreciate their support. Circa Survivor, by the way, the best Survivor pool going. Unfortunately, I'm out because I'm an idiot, but let's keep it going. Thank you to Circa. By the way, as we're recording here, Notre Dame has just scored again. It is now 55-13. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish are ahead. Listen, credit to Notre Dame, but also, this is just an abomination for Arkansas fans, and you shouldn't have to accept this. So now that that's said, let's go ahead and get to some of the other conversations from throughout what I think will be the next couple of days. First of all, I'll just say this. I understand the dynamics that are at play in Arkansas. I understand that, frankly, Hunter Yurachek might not be the guy making the decision on the next head coach. I'll counter it by saying this. You have to fire. Like, if we get to Sunday night football, Sunday night Packers Cowboys, by the way, shout out to the Cowboys Arkansas fans. You guys are the real MVPs. Okay. If we get to Packers Cowboys and Sam Pittman is not fired, that would just be an abomination that is absolutely positively unacceptable. And so this move has to be made. Let's go ahead and talk about who could potentially be next. And I'll say this, it's such a bummer. Producer Matt is, he doesn't work on Saturdays. I can't make him work 7 days a week. We had the tweet from a few days ago when somebody in the comment section said, Torres, you need to be the new Arkansas AD. Well, I said if I was the Arkansas AD, this is the first name that I would call, and I would do it soon. John Gruden, former Super Bowl winning head coach. And I saw this, I put out the picture of Gruden in the Arkansas hat a few minutes ago, and I saw somebody say this, and I think it's totally applicable, is what is the worst case scenario from the next hire? Listen, Sam Pittman has not been good. It has regressed. And, the worst case scenario is you're bad, right? Well, you've been bad the last 3 or 4 years. The worst case scenario, if you hire John Gruden, you're bad, but at least you're interesting. At least people care about what you do and how you do it. And John Gruden is a freaking content machine. He is a quote machine. And I believe he would elevate that program to become one of the most talked about teams in college football. And frankly, he wants to coach college football. So he's going to do that somewhere. I think it needs to be Arkansas. Okay, now I know what people are going to say. Well, look at Belichick. First of all, Gruden's been married to the same woman for a very long time. Gruden ain't bringing no 24-year-old girlfriend with him. But I think if Gruden was hired, even if it didn't work out, it would be much more Deion Sanders at Colorado than it would be Bill Belichick with the Patriots or with the North Carolina Tar Heels. Okay. Gruden is a content machine. He loves the camera. He's great in front of the camera. And I think the bottom line is this guy wants to coach again. And I still believe he can do it at a pretty high level. And I think he'd be a great recruiter. I think the number one thing with Belichick that is being under discussed, people are talking about Jordan Hudson this and blah, 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 that. Here's the thing with Belichick. Belichick isn't a good recruiter, and he's never going to be a good recruiter. You know why? Because you put him in front of a kid, and what's he going to say? Yeah, we're on to Cal. We're on to Stanford. It's like, there was a story where I guess, Belichick had, I think it was Tom Brady or Gronk or one of those guys hop on a call with John Mateer. Imagine John Mateer. John Mateer ain't going to play for North Carolina and Bill Belichick. Now, conversely, he was clearly going to Oklahoma to follow his OC. But the counterpoint to that is, you mean to tell me you put Gruden on a call with an 18-year-old, with a 17-year-old, with parents who watched him coach, who watched him on Monday Night Football? He's going to kill. And I think conversely, he is going to bring an attitude and energy to that program. The thing with Gruden is this is not going to be the only SEC job that opens this year. And so you have to move quick. Somebody asked me the other day what I would do if I was the Arkansas AD. I said it. If I was the Arkansas AD, the day after Gruden had that video release of, I would die, I believe was the exact quote. I would die to coach in the SEC. You know what I would have done? I would have been on a plane to Tampa to meet with him then and say, listen, if it hits this point or that point or whatever, Let's get some stuff in place and let's get some things figured out. And here's the thing with Gruden. Arkansas shouldn't be worried about Sam Pittman's buyout, but guess what? If you are, here's the good news. There's no buyout associated with John Gruden. You can hire him tomorrow. He can be on campus evaluating the program tomorrow. And it makes too much sense. I know he's not the perfect candidate. I don't think the perfect candidate exists, right? But what I do know is if you drag your feet, if you don't fire Sam Pittman this weekend, guess what happens? Oklahoma State already, has a head start on you. Virginia Tech has a head start on you. UCLA has a head start on you. And I'm not saying that the candidates even necessarily overlap, but you have to start this process now. We're 5 games into the season. You're going into your bye week, and 5 games in means nobody is going to redshirt. So get Pittman out. I don't even know why I'm so fired up, but it's just like I can't watch this mediocrity when I know that it shouldn't be this bad, and there's no reason it's this bad, but it is this bad because of one person. So Gruden would 1,000% be my first call. I wouldn't even hesitate. And then from there, you see who else. I know there's a lot of people that would prefer Rhett Lashley, assuming he's available. He is the SMU head coach. He's from Arkansas. He played at Arkansas. And I mean, listen, I don't know what else there is to say. I mean, I would have no problem with Rhett Lashley. Does he want to leave SMU? Listen, I'll say this for SMU. Great year last year. I think we're kind of learning a little bit fluky. And I think the ceiling at SMU, even with all the NIL money that they have, probably isn't quite as high as I think a lot of people want to make it out to be. And so because of that, why not make the call to Rhett Lashley? Why not try to convince him to come home? And I think, listen, I've said it a million times, but whatever the future of the college football postseason looks like, the advantage is always going to go to Big Ten, always going to go to the SEC, and those two conferences are going to get the benefit of the doubt. And so I bring it up because I don't think just because a guy is in a Power 4, that means he's off the table. I think you got to go ahead and make that call. From there, it would be interesting to see, if neither of those guys was available, who would potentially be next. I've seen G.J. Kinney, of course, the head coach at Texas State, who's doing really well, offensive mind, young dude. Ben Arbuckle's name is getting thrown around for a lot of these jobs. I think it would be a tough spot to put a 29-year-old in as an SEC head coach. What I will say, and we talked about this a little bit, I guess it would have been on Tuesday's show of last week, but, name Bobby Petrino the head coach. We had the audio of Brandon Marcello saying that Bobby Petrino sort of working behind the scenes, and then Marcello kind of ran those comments back. And I'm not criticizing him. I think it probably didn't come out exactly right. But, Bobby Petrino, with the schedule that Arkansas has, because that's the crazy part, it doesn't get any easier from here. By the way, that was why when you have a chance to win at Ole Miss, it's so important. That's why when you have Memphis beat, it is so important, is because at the end of the day, there are so many tough games left on this schedule. Right, by the way, coming out of the bye, here's the schedule. At Texas A&M, or at Tennessee, A&M at home, Auburn at home. You do have Mississippi State at home. So 3 of your next 4 are at home. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to pick on a man while he's down. I cannot see the scenario where Sam Pittman is allowed to continue as the head coach, because they're showing the stadium. By the way, I have a TV kind of in front of me. They're showing an empty Razorback stadium, and it's got to be at about 10% capacity right now. You cannot let Sam Pittman coach another game, because here's the thing. What is going to motivate anyone to come in, buy tickets, do all that? I think the big question with Arkansas now becomes, is Hunter Yurachek allowed to make the hire? And listen, I don't know Hunter Yurachek. I have no ill will against him, but you can't publicly say, yeah, we're not competitive. We cannot compete at the highest level of college football, and then let that man make the next hire. I'm sorry. It's bad. Hunter Yurachek, I don't think can make that job. And listen, I know about the inner workings of a lot of things in college sports. I don't know who actually has the authority to fire Hunter Yurachek, as Taylon Green has thrown an interception in the end zone. 56-13 is the score. I guess the over hit, so that's a glasses half full thing. I should have taken the over. I took Arkansas plus the points because where we started this show, I thought Arkansas would actually show some fire after Memphis last week. Instead, there is no fire. It's time to go. John Gruden would be my first call. Before we get out of here, a couple quick things. One, I want to get to some of the questions and comments in the chat. I want to hear what everyone has to say. The chat is on fire right now. It is on fire right now. By the way, should mention before we get to the chat, quick reminder, I know this probably isn't the time to be buying tickets, Arkansas fans, but we are presented by our official partner, SeatGeek, and the SeatGeek app. Listen, number one ticketing app in America. The one good thing, you got to start getting tickets for basketball season, Arkansas fans, right? You're playing at Michigan State. You're playing in New York against Houston. You're playing in Dallas against Texas Tech. Well, guess what that means? You're going to need tickets, and this is what you need to do. If you go to SeatGeek.com, use promo code Torres, guess what? It gets you $20 off your first purchase. By the way, you didn't hear this from me, but if you have already used SeatGeek before, if you use a separate email that allows you to sign up for a second account, you can get that $20 off. So SeatGeek.com, promo code Torres gets you $20 off your first purchase. And it's basketball season. It's officially, listen, what is it? This coming Friday is the Hoops at the Palace or whatever. You get tickets to that, get tickets to whatever, but basketball season is coming, Arkansas fans. You deserve a winner. You're going to get a winner. By the way, shout out to the Chicken Man, John Tyson, because it doesn't have to be this bad. It just doesn't. I want to go ahead and get to some of the comments on in the chat here. First of all, Austin says, yes, sir, AT. Daniel Smith says he's gone after the bye week. By the way, Ralph says the hat's a good look. Thank you, Ralph. Again, Circa Casino, Circa Sportsbook. Not only in Vegas, but they have opened a new sports book, Mint Kentucky Downs, Franklin, Kentucky. So make sure to check it out. Tamara, who's a huge supporter of the show, says it's over. I feel like today is the day Hogs football died. Well, and that's the thing, right? And I said this with halftime with Phil Elson and Matt Jones on whatever day it was. It would have been Friday. You know, this is actually a weird positive, but it's going to sound like a negative, is that basically to me, it's almost a positive that you have played back-to-back noon games, because it gave the whole world an insight into what this program and what this fan base has been going through over the last couple of years. You know, I think there's this notion, again, and we led the show with this of, what is Arkansas supposed to be? They're not supposed to be this. They're not supposed to be getting destroyed by Notre Dame. And it's not like it's a great Notre Dame team. Texas A&M just won there 2 weeks ago. You're not supposed to be losing to Memphis. And so the good thing about an 11 a.m. local time kickoff and 11 a.m. noon Eastern kickoff, there aren't a million big games. Like, imagine if this game was at 7:30 Eastern tonight and everybody's watching Georgia, Bama, everybody's watching, Oregon, Penn State. It just becomes another result. This allows America to see that this is an abomination, and it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be embarrassing. Let's get to some other comments. The comment about the chat. His hair must be having as bad of a day as the Arkansas defense. No, it's just, I got a haircut. I wouldn't call the guy who did it. I wouldn't grade him what Travis Williams' defense was. I would listen. Guy can barely speak English. I would give him a C- on the haircut. It's a little bit short. I'll be actually speaking at an event in Vegas on Friday, so I needed the haircut so I could grow back in a little bit. But I also wanted to give a shout out to our partners, SeatGeek and SeatGeek, and of course, Circa Casino and Circa Sportsbook. Stuff says Pitman and Williams need to go immediately. Listen, I understand that Pittman's a former assistant coach. I'm sure he's been part of staffs that have been fired. Why did he allow Travis Williams to continue to coach his defense today? I mean, after what you saw last week, I understand, right? You never want anybody to lose their job. But when we're talking about an SEC coordinator, that is a situation. I don't know what Travis Williams' salary is. Somebody can drop it into the chat. But that's probably a man that's making, 500 to 600 to 800K. If you can't do your job and you're making that much money, I'm sorry, you don't deserve to keep your job beyond today. And I think that's the exact reason why you had to get rid of him. Let's go. Austin says, we're so tired of this crap. Arkansas basketball scholar. It's coming, Arkansas basketball scholar. Hunter is a poverty dude. I don't know Hunter Yurchek. I'm not rooting against him. But he shouldn't be allowed to make the football coaching hire, right? It's like if producer, I can't even think of an analogy in my world, but like if producer Matt was like, yeah, I can never make your show look as good as whatever. Well, why do you have the job? Like, isn't the AD's job ultimately to do two things? To basically just hire a good football coach And I understand it's tougher in some places than others. But I've always said, if you hire the right football coach, you're on easy street for 20 years. The fact that Hunter Yurachek said we cannot be competitive in this current landscape, like, what are we even talking about? So it's unbelievable. It's frustrating. Arkansas fans have a right to be frustrated. Let's keep it going. Cheesy Skull, who I think was in the chat the other day, says, I want everyone gone. They can cancel the season. I could care less. Fire Yurachek too. Listen, I don't disagree with the fact that Hunter Yurachek should be fired. One thing, I don't really care if he gets fired. He just shouldn't be allowed to make the next coaching hire. It's interesting. I live in LA, and I've said this many times, but I do live in LA. I know, make your own comments. Kind of stuck here now. The wife has a job that we might be staying here for a while. I would leave. But anyway, the reason I bring it up is because, like, UCLA is the perfect example of, they didn't fire the AD because of Deshaun Foster, the hire, but it's pretty clear to anybody who knows what's going on at UCLA that the new AD is not being allowed to make the hire. So I don't know who's allowed to make the hire here. I don't know if it's John Tyson. I don't know if it's whoever, but it can't be Hunter Yurachek because, again, this is just an embarrassment and abomination. 56-13 is currently the score. Pat says, we have a cultural issue. So this is good, Pat. So Pat says, we have a cultural issue. The players no longer believe that they can win. So I actually think that there's something to that, because if you, after last week, the defense specifically, couldn't find it in you to show up and have a better performance, that means that it's a culture issue, it's a coaching issue, it's a motivation issue, because this should have been the best performance. And by the way, again, I'll say it. I said it earlier. Dusty Dvorak and Dave Pasch, I give them credit. Like, Dusty Dvorak said like 3 times, I cannot believe the effort that we're seeing from this defense. It's unacceptable. And it's unacceptable not just because you've given up 56 points worth the 235 mark on the TV that I'm watching. It's that you gave up 56 points in a situation where, like, I don't even know. All right, let's go. Get BP back. That's obviously Bobby Petrino, not Bruce Pearl. Who's our next coach? I'm telling you, go get Gruden. If you missed it earlier, I made the case. I think Gruden would have a Dion type effect on Arkansas football. This would not be Bill Belichick 2.0. I think Gruden would bring energy, excitement. I think recruiting would be through the roof. I think donations would be through the roof. By the way, this is another thing Hunter Yurachek has to get through his head. The $20.5 million, that's not where revenue has to end for your athletics department and your players. You have to find additional ways to get guys paid. Everyone has the $20.5 million. It's the schools that are finding additional revenue, additional NIL opportunities. So that's the other thing Gruden brings. Crap, I might write a check for Arkansas football if they hire John Gruden, because I'd be that fired up to see what he could do. Worst case scenario, they're interesting. Worst case scenario, they're fun. A couple quick comments before we get out of here. Should mention a few more things. One, by the way, in addition to all of our great advertisers, if you ever want to support the show, we do have members. We do have a membership option. Just click the little member tab, join tab at the top of the screen. Basically, we're going to do giveaways. We're going to do stuff like that. Just a quick, easy way to support the show. Really does go a long way, really does help. We have a couple members. As we get more members, we'll start doing, members only live chats, members only this, members only that. But again, if you do want to support the show in any way, shape, or form, all you got to do is click that join button at the top of the screen. And we really do appreciate your support there, because, again, every little bit helps. I go on the road a lot. That all comes out of the Torres pocket. We are an independently owned company. So if you want to join our community, click join on our YouTube channel. I'll tell you what, one thing we'll never do, we'll never stop calling it like it is with all of these teams and coaches and programs. Couple more comments before we get out of here. Let's see here. Taylor Green is a disaster. I feel bad. I mean, it's not Taylor Green's fault. I mean, you're down, your defense gives up 42 points in the first half, and I know some of it's on Taylor Green's not terrible. I don't know. It's so I'm not even. And by the way, Tamara says something that I'm starting to feel is, I don't even think Bobby Petrino can fix this. Now, I think it can't be worse under Bobby Petrino, but I'll say what I said the other day. I don't know that I really believe in my heart of hearts that Bobby Petrino even wants to be a head coach, but I'm not sure in 2025. It's almost like Gus Malzahn, who I'm sure his name will get thrown around a little bit. I have no problem with Gus Malzahn calling plays in 2025. I don't know if I want him running my whole program, NIL, boosters, recruiting, transfer portal, whatever. I think you got to go in a different direction. By the way, here's the other thing. You fire Sam Pittman today. John Gruden. I'm on the John Gruden thing. Maybe Rhett Lashley comes, right? You fire Sam Pittman. You can hire John Gruden tomorrow, and he can start building a staff and building a plan for when the season's over and when the portal opens. I'll give you a quick side story. What would it have been? The 2021 season, maybe 2022? My alma mater, UConn, fired Randy Edsall like week 2, week 3 of that season. They played in week 0, got destroyed. I think he got fired week 2. They hired Jim Mora in like late October, early November. And guess what ended up happening? Jim Mora came in. Jim Mora evaluated everybody. Who do I want to keep? Who do I not want to keep? He had a staff in place ready to go the day the season ended. I don't remember all the rules. I don't know if he could recruit. I think he might have even been recruiting. I know he was like traveling with the team. Like I remember that year they played at Clemson, and Jim Mora was in the box watching that game. So it can be done. You fire Sam Pittman today. You can hire John Gruden tomorrow. He can be on campus evaluating things come Monday. Let's see here. A couple more questions. We'll get out of here. Let's get someone young. Somebody says Urban Meyer. I mean, he's another one. I mean, he could be on campus tomorrow. I think Urban Meyer is done. I was of the belief that Urban Meyer at some point would start coaching again. I think that ship has sailed. Do you see him on TV? He kind of looks old and feeble at this point. I hate to be a jerk, but it's kind of the truth. Let's see here. Recruits love Charles Huff. Let's see here. I'm just going to get to a couple more. All right. T-Will gone tonight. He freaking better be, man. Listen, we have a policy on this show, right? Some of these other shows, you don't root for somebody to lose their job. Well, listen, if you suck at your job and you make a lot of money, you have to be held accountable for that. We're not talking about somebody that, a bank teller here, and no disrespect to any of you who may be bank tellers, but it's like if you make a job that has 5 zeros at the end of the number to start, and you're not doing your job in the manner that Sam Pittman and Travis Williams are not doing their job, then guess what? You got to freaking go. I'm sorry. Zero sympathy. I don't care. All right, I'll tell you what. This game is just about final. A minute 10 left. Let's see here. Minute 10 left. I'll say this. If you want a glasses half full, I think Sean brings up a great point, is that Notre Dame, like if you had lost, because remember, Arkansas was a 5-point underdog, and it got down to 3.5 in some sports books. If Arkansas loses this game 34-31 on a last-second fumble, Sam Pittman, you can probably justify keeping the job till the end of the season. You're losing 56-13 at home with probably 5% of the stadium still there. That's hard to justify. Like, let's give this guy another month, whatever. So I think that's it. I think I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. By the way, obviously we're trying to figure out, I'll say this, we do our normal Sunday show at 11 Eastern, 10 Central. We'll see. I expect something to happen. Obviously, if something happens during the day, we will have immediate reaction. I almost feel like I should do the Sam Pittman is fired video, do it today and have it ready to go for tomorrow. Cause I think it has to happen at this point. One last thing before we get out of here. If you do want to support the show, you can join as a member. Also, who does support the show? We really appreciate their support. Our friends, our partners, Collie Puffs, ColliePuffs.com. Okay, if you're an Arkansas fan, guess what? Basketball season's coming up. You're going to be on the couch quite a bit. You need a snack that is both healthy but delicious, something you're going to love, something your kids are going to love. You need Collie Puffs, okay? Family-owned company, not far from where I live. They're all huge sports fans. Joey, the founder, is a huge Rams fan, season tickets. I've actually supposed to go to some games with them this year, but, schedules get complicated, whatever. But if you need a snack that's healthy but delicious, Collie Puffs, ColliePuffs.com. Baked, not fried, avocado oil, no grease, healthy ingredients. The best part is, though, these things taste freaking delicious, okay? At this point, you don't need to take my word for it. Here's the good news. You can try them for yourself. All you got to do is go to ColliePuffs.com. That's CAULIPUFFS.com, ColliePuffs.com. use promo code Torres. It gets you 15% off. Promo code Torres gets you 15% off. CollyPuffs.com. You can also get them at Amazon. The game is final. What is it? 56-13. I think we might even get a press release tonight. I really do. Sam Pittman's done. I'll be hosting Fox Sports Radio starting at 11 Eastern. If Sam Pittman is out, we will have immediate reaction in the morning. But we'll be live at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central. And I think there's a possibility Sam Pittman could be gone then. Hope everybody has a great Saturday. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of a college football Saturday. And I'm glad we didn't wait till the end to go live. It just felt like the right thing to do in the right moment. Shout out to Torrin Craig. Shout out to Rachel, who hates my voice. JJ Reddick, you have unblock me. Thank you to Circa, best sports book anywhere in Vegas, best sports book on the East Coast, Mint, Kentucky Downs, Franklin, Kentucky. Also, SeatGeek.com, promo code Torres gets you $20 off your first purchase. Arkansas fans, basketball season's coming. You're going to need tickets for the Texas Tech game. If you go to Michigan State, if you go to New York before the holidays for Houston, get some tickets. SeatGeek.com, promo code Torres gets you $20 off. And thank you to Collie Puffs as well. All right, I'm going to go watch some football. I'm going to go watch some good football because that was really bad. Thank you for your support. We'll be back Sunday morning, full reaction.